from them, then swapping down to the bottom lane after. But banning Caitlyn and then leaving Lucian open should mean that MYM want to get their hands on a very early AD carry pick in the Lucian itself. Otherwise, you know Forgiven is just going to lock that one in if they want to go for the same tactic as yesterday. But once again, Kassadin being banned here. Oh, sorry, Zed being banned by SK Gaming like yesterday. And Kassadin for MYM. It could signal they want LeBlanc in the mid lane and kind of want to dodge around this LeBlanc-Kassadin matchup we saw yesterday that go horribly wrong for Rocket. And with the LeBlanc taken off the table, that whole train of thought is now down. The next question is... That's exactly the reason for the ban here from SK. Knowing, okay, Blizzard can lock in LeBlanc, we won't have the Kassadin to counter pick it, so we're just going to ban it. It does mean, however, now it's left open, and MYM are not going to give it to Freddy. Well, the question is, what do SK value higher? You know, Lissandra's available, Janna's available. All picks that we saw lots during the course of yesterday, as is Jarvan. Gnar has been with Jarvan. All 3 times we saw it yesterday. Getting Jarvan here is important. Yeah, I'm not surprised to see SK think about that. No, played it yesterday as well, and Svenskeren showed some very good moves. As always, whenever he's playing an aggressive early jungler, we know he will gank a lot. And obviously getting Graves kind of again makes the Caitlyn ban pretty much useless against SK because Graves is still considered one of the best AD carries, and Forgiven can play very aggressive in the laning phase on it as well. So we'll see how he controls himself. Those was next to insta-locks as far as MYM are concerned. Their lanes are shaping up already. Mobility, pick, and a nice tank from Gnar. You can see Yamato Cannon there in the background, who is the coach, going to be deciding who their support and jungler will be later on. Yeah, so Blizzard gets Ahri again, like he played yesterday, where he did try again to make some flashy plays. He lost the laning phase to Pepinero, however, and couldn't actually stop Pepinero from roaming around and killing his poor little top laner in the last game. But getting the Sivir somewhat explains the Caitlyn ban then, as Caitlyn is a counter in lane to her, but Graves is... It's not exactly a lot easier for Sivir to deal with. It becomes a bit of a farm lane for her. She has to stay back and play very passive, but all the kill potential is on the side of Graves and SK Gaming. Well, we'll see how SK decide to handle themselves. They've got so much damage to play with and lock up. Jarvan, Cassiopeia, Lissandra and Graves. Gonna look to see who their final support will be, if it's gonna be Lulu like we did see from yesterday or not. No traditional frontline. It didn't work for Gambit, but SK demonstrated a higher level of play. We'll see what they can do with the similar champs. I think Jarvan is okay as a frontline in itself here. We could see Enred try and pick up a Aliona if he wants to join in terms of engaging and being the tank for the team, but actually Jarvan should be enough for SK Gaming because they have so much damage, burst damage coming in from Lissandra and Graves combined with, of course, the Cassiopeia, which is actually still a flex pick. We don't really know who's going mid or top between these 2 picks here, depending on what SK has actually been practicing. And we'll see what they decide to lock in. MYM have rounded out their team composition. Horo is going to be using Lee Sin in the jungle as opposed to that Olaf we saw yesterday. And Janna making it all the way down to the second last pick. Janna's sort of first pick priority, or at least has been on 421 for most of the Korean League from LCK. This time around, it will be in Nisbet's hands. Yeah, so MYM on their side, you have a lot of pick potential through Lee Sin and then Ahri coming in as well. So good 2v2 skirmish and Sivir with her ulti. So you have actually a fairly strong team fight. But on the side of SK Gaming, you have great engage from Lissandra and Jarvan. You have again so much burst. Even the Lulu support is going to make your Jarvan even more tanky, even harder to kill when he's the guy engaging. So I feel like there's so many tools for SK to play these fights and avoid basically getting picked off by MYM. And we'll see if SK can control the game. So we are going to see that Lulu support once more. We'll see whether or not Enrated can dictate the tempo. On the side of MYM, they've got their mobility. They've got a fairly good early to mid power spike, and I feel like they're going to need to play much more aggressively than yesterday, and MYM cannot afford the same mistakes if they want any chance. Again, MYM, they need to win the early to mid game, not even just because of their comp, but just because SK Gaming will outplay them in the late game. So we have to see aggressive plays from Horo on this Lee Sin, no Olaf this time around, and just try and get some kills on Blizzard or MYM, sorry, in the top lane. The 2 solo laners. Sivir Janna is a bit tough to set it up for Horo against a Lulu and a Graves. It's a kind of risky lane to go all in against, but solo laners, it's where your focus should be. Cassiopeia is a very, very easy target to gank. Go for her. Well, we'll see if they can make it work. We did see the coaches there just shaking hands as they exited the stage. Here's, of course, Yamato Cannon for MYM and Inner Flame for SK Gaming. Coaches involved in those picks and bans. And we do have the team comps ready for you. Guys, jump onto Twitter. Tell us who you think is going to win this matchup by tweeting to us at LOL Esports. Use that hashtag
MYM win or the hashtag SK win. You can see the skins and you can see the team comps. And we'll see. We know the crowd was supporting SK Gaming earlier. We heard them cheering and chanting for the home team. We're about to load up onto the Rift. It is Meteor Makers taking on SK Gaming. The first match here of day 2. Let's see if we have any early game shenanigans going on.
Yeah, let's see how MYM wants to play the fights here. You can't really engage just head first onto SK when you have the Cassiopeia in the mid lane with her ulti, Lulu as well for disengage, meaning MYM is going to have to look for these picks on flanks around. Vision control is going to be very important, which is a thing SK Gaming is terrible at. They don't buy any wards outside of a side stone and whatever trinket they're sitting on. So that could be the opening also for MYM.
Well, let's hope they can upgrade their trinkets and they can get use of the modified timers.
1-0 in rated.
Oh,
Forgiven. Oi!
Hey, is this advantage SK? Someone's going to put some damage down, but at the end of the day, nothing really gained from the trade.
We did notice again, though, here in 5.1, the ward, when you place it, actually takes longer before it goes into stealth and you can't kill it anymore. So it gives a little bit of extra time for the AD carry to finish it out. Actually, why Mr. Rales could kill the ward placed by Forgiven.
Well, small advantage then, but nothing really massive. We do see the lane setting up to appear to be standard. Freddy and MYM are both going toe-to-toe up in that top lane. We do see that Nisbet going to be running that flash exhaust. I think it's going to be very, very useful once you start having Cassio, Lissandra, Java, and everybody jumping into the fight later on in the game. But for the time being, just head-to-head matches, and we'll see who's going to come out ahead. Forgiven. Crepa was talking about just how aggressive he is with those gap closers. Graves, another champion that he can play aggressively with.
So SK actually wanted to go and try and stop a potential jungle start from MYM, but they decided not to do anything and just stay in the lane. So very, very standard start here for both of them. Just some early trading onto Mr. Rales.
Well, going to play aggressively from the get-go. Rated on that Lulu. We talked about this yesterday, how Lulu in lane, yourself and Crepa are both not particularly impressed. And look at the trading, back and forth. Janna taking way more damage than I think Nisbet was anticipated. And they're still going at it, Officio. We'll see how this is going to lead to control, because now Nisbet is in trouble. Little Ones connects, and look at that damage.
Yeah, and you see a problem from MYM's bottom lane here. They don't really communicate or synergize in terms of who they want to trade on. It simply meant once Mr. Rales was standing in the front, Nisbet would back away, and then it would kind of switch around. So SK could focus 2 members on one target, while MYM just had to try and hit whoever was near them, and therefore lose out on the trade. And obviously Lulu has quite some decent auto attack damage with her passive in the early game. And Cassiopeia against an Ari matchup, that's heavily in favor of Cassiopeia early on in terms of the pushing and trading.
Well, definitely seems to be paying off that way. Fox is shoved away very, very deep. Horo may have an opportunity to get involved if he decides to stick around this mid lane. SK stamping authority in the bottom lane, stamping authority in the middle lane. We'll need to keep an eye on Freddy and see if he can get some control in this top lane. MYM is also being shoved back. Horo's going to have a lot of work to do because all 3 lanes are being shoved in.
Yeah, he has to look towards this mid lane here, especially when Cassiopeia is pushing all the way to town. She's an immobile champion. Go for that early gank, but he's actually taking a full clear. He's not going back to base after doing 3 camps like we saw yesterday, and you then upgrade to Stalker's Blade or the Trailblazer, whatever you want, on the Lee Sin to get that gold boost, the 30 extra gold from the camps. Instead he's just doing a full clear and then going for the recall. So losing out a little bit of gold here.
Well, Diamond Prox tried that yesterday as well. It didn't work out all that great for him. We have seen Sven Skeren on that Trailblazer for at least an additional camp or 2. As we're talking about it, Horo has actually backed off and grabbed his upgraded jungle item. SK still continue to push, still continue to play aggressively, but the time for potential ganks is ticking closer and closer. So we'll need to see if SK either places wards or backs off.
Graves is so strong in these trades against the Sivir. She won't be able to do anything.
Oh,
every time.
There's no spell shield. Mr. Roll's in trouble. He does get taken down. Enrated and Forgiven flash in for the first blood, and Forgiven does it again.
Every single trade from the start of this lane has gone in favor of SK Gaming, and it was just a matter of time before they could try and finish off either Rales or Nisbet here. First spot early on. Sadly went to Enrated, but you'll take it because you killed the enemy to carry it that early.
Such great play from Forgiven and Enrated, all stemming from those very early trades. Open that opportunity, and now Horo is going to look for a first potential gank. At the moment, it's just going to counter jungle. He's also gone for that Trailblazer. We'll see how close Freddy plays. Sven's also sticking around in the mid lane. If you take a look, Blizz has come back into lane. There's no flash on Blizzard, so
and his wave is pushed up. Such a bad situation for him when you're sitting with no flash and your wave is pushing towards the enemy tower. This is trouble.
The slide, the glide, Blizzard sent flying, Ignite's burning, Poison's ticking, Fox gets another kill for SK Gaming.
Just the worst situation because you have to get your jungle there to push out the wave, otherwise you will get ganked by something like a Jarvan. Terrible start for MYM, losing 2 kills in the laning phase, which we talked about they had to win to actually do anything against SK Gaming.
5 minutes into the game and MYM are nearly 2,000 gold down from SK. It is a terrible, terrible start. Double the CS advantage in the mid lane for Fox. 12 CS advantage for Forgiven. MYM this time round is holding even in this top lane. But unfortunately, the rest of the team may just be too heavy to carry if this trend continues.
Yeah, Freddy's fine just sitting and farming and pushing out the wave here. He's going to make plays with his teleport anyway. Doesn't have to actually kill MYM one-on-one, especially not when your mid and bottom lane is doing so well. And Forgiven double longsword early, so it looks like he wants to go for a brutalizer and really snowball his lead.
Well, we'll see how quickly he can get to that item spike, and more importantly, how he's going to take advantage with this Lulu. And Officio, I have to ask, yesterday we were saying how Lulu could get out-traded by the likes of a Janna in the long run. Doesn't seem to be the case for the moment.
Well, it works when you add in a Graves against the Sivir in this situation. With his passive and early game damage, he will win those trades. Sven's gone on to Horo.
Horo's in trouble. Svenskaren's going in, continues to land auto attack after auto attack, but Horo can't even control his own jungle.
And this is what you can do so early when your mid and bottom lane is just winning and pushing up all the time. Your jungler just walks straight into the enemy jungle, plays all the deep wards, take the small fights because you know your backup is coming way before the other teams.
Well, definitely works out in Svenskaren's favor. SK continue to accelerate control. Fox is just disregarding the minion wave, and look at that damage from Twin Fang.
Spamming Twin Fang, land 1 poison, and the trade is heavily in your favor.
Not really working out for Fox thus far. He continues to keep control. Look at the presence here from Svenskeren on the sidelines. He's going to go, oh, that's a flash engage from Fox. They do take down Blizzard. Now Svenskeren is taking some turret damage. Horo's trying to chase down for a apply kill. Fox can jump in and throw some poison down. Not going to be needed. And we do see Svenskeren and Fox backing away. Horo, oh, he's landed the second wave. He's got Svenskeren, but is Horo going to give up his life? Fox is looking for, that's a flash from Horo. Poison's not going to tick. First kill on the board for MYM.
A nice little reply here, getting a kill on Svenskeren. Took a greedy route back towards the mid lane. Still though, your Ahri has now died twice. She's sitting on 27 CS, and she's your newest member to the team. Not exactly feeling too comfortable on the stage. Definitely not after that start.
No, definitely not indeed. Svenskeren with some very, very good ganks in the mid lane. That was an aggressive dive. I mean, Fox went for the flash petrifying gaze.
But it's such a good setup because, again, you have all the wards placed in the enemy jungle, so it's actually yours now. You control 3 parts of the jungle on the entire map. So you can go for these aggressive dives here. Okay, in the very end, Horo managed to pick up a kill, but Svenskeren didn't have to run through the mid lane. You could just walk straight out the river.
We'll see how that comes into effect. So there's been a second flash that we haven't caught on camera. Mr. Rawls burned his flash. And you can see it's on cooldown, so he needs to be very, very careful. Forgiven and Enrater try to jump in. And remember, Blizzard came back to that mid lane. He also didn't have flash for the very first time that Svenskeren came around to set up that gank. So MYM are just being bullied around. And SK, 2 games in a row now, yesterday and today, are just really, really stepping up in the laning phase. And just great play.
It's what we talked about yesterday, how they've made some very good upgrades to the lineup, making them a lot stronger in the laning phase, while the shot calling is the same from before. Candypan and GSS didn't do a major part of the shot calling from SK, so that's the same. You just have stronger laners, better carries all in all, so whoever gets ahead in the lane can just win the game for you.
Definitely a change in style for SK, I think, to compare to last year.
You mean not losing early?
Pretty much. But also, if you take note really quickly, Horo has changed his jungle item. So he has gone from that Trailblazer to the Stalker's Blade, the Chilling Smite. And we'll see if he can make use of it, because this is going to be a 2v2 in the top lane Deficio. It looks like Freddy is going to go for a fight. MYM, he hops, he crunches. Glacial Doom's out, Cataclysm's down. Everybody's involved.
Nice setup.
Dragon's Rage kick goes backwards. Now Freddy will fall immediately after. 2 kills for MYM. My man Horo doing work.
Don't mess with the Mega Gnar here. MYM set it up perfectly. We're just baiting around. Horo joined in. No wards from SK on the top side, so they didn't see him come. And just take the 2v2 fight with the Mega Gnar. Beautiful setup again. Notice how Horo unspotted. Then MYM goes in, and Svenskeren is now caught behind enemy lines. He has to go for the engage, and this one goes in favor of MYM.
Very, very well executed fight. That Goomba stomp from Mega Gnar doing a lot of work. We did see SK taking the tower in the bottom. Looks like MYM should be able to secure the tower on the top, so that will at least keep that global gold as close as it can be for Mutual Makers.
And if they can actually stop SK from running straight to the Dragon here, then it's going to be a big win for MYM. But Enrated already moved into jungle here, setting up some wards to see what's going on. And Svenskeren is pinging on the Dragon.
So we'll see how quickly SK can start this one off. It doesn't look like MYM are anywhere nearby. So first Dragon of the game should go uncontested to SK Gaming. We're just going to get some control of the objective. A very, very small damage boost. We do see an upgrade enchantment here for Horo. He's gone for Warriors. Hex Drinker and Giant's Belt sitting with MYM. And BF Swords now picked up for both of the AD carries. So sort of standard itemization going through. However, for the first time that we've seen a Cassio, it's a Rod of Ages start as opposed to the tier that we did see during the course of yesterday, Deficio.
Okay, again, I feel like it's because he got such a good start in the laning phase, so he just wants some more instant power. Instead of getting that tier, he has to stack up through the mid game. Get your Rod of Ages so early. 10 minutes from now, it's going to be fully stacked, and he's just going to become stronger and stronger, not waiting on this tier, which still is not slow to stack up, but it takes more time.
Well, we'll see how effectively Fox can make use of those stats. If you
also make him a bit more tanky, actually, so that works out, seeing as you mentioned, they're only running with Jarvan as like the front line here. If the rest of you can take at least a few hits before you end up dying, that works out well.
Really wanted that Krug. That was a collateral damage, and he didn't actually secure it if I was reading that one correctly. But take a look at the CS differences. Plus 25 for Fox in the mid lane, and plus 35 for Forgiven in the bottom lane. That is a whole lot of gold that SK is playing with just from CSing alone. 1,000 for the AD carries, 1,200 for the mid laners. That could become very, very difficult to deal with. However, MYM does have a small advantage over Freddy for the moment.
Yeah, MYM is going in there, which is now the standard EU Gnar build, where you actually get Hex Drinker first against double AP. Not 100% sure what I think about it. It's not a bad item at all, but just going full tank, especially when you get a kill early on in the lane, I think it's better, because it just makes you so much stronger in the team fights. And he's going probably towards the Warmock's armor here as his second item, so just getting that flat HP against both the physical damage from the likes of Forgiven and of course the magic from the two soul lanes.
We'll see how MYM decides to itemize in a few minutes' time. Svenskeren still not upgraded his jungle item, but sitting on that Trailblazer double long for a while. But we'll see what MYM can do in the mid lane. That's a stun from
TP
Fox.
coming.
3v1. Exhaust is down. Fox gets knocked up by the wild growth. He's still alive before finally getting taken down. Now Horo is the next target. SK are unable to take him out. Ignite is ticking away, and Horo does manage to survive. MYM initiating, get the kill.
Yeah, again, MYM winning out here on these gangsters setting up. It take a little while before they actually got the kill, but small win once again for MYM and Nisbet.
Ooh, Nisbet just a little out of position.
Could probably have waited to see if Svenskeren actually wanted to ulti before he flashed away, but playing it very, very safe.
So second death of the game for Svenskeren there. MYM, they won the top lane 2v2. They just had a very strong engage in the middle lane. They got Freddy's teleport, and they got themselves a kill. They're definitely not out of this yet, but the public opinion is that they are out of this. 80% to 20% in favor of SK Gaming.
I do like how Horo has been a lot more active here in the early game from MYM compared to yesterday when he was playing the Olaf and just actually sat back and farmed until he realized, okay, my lanes have lost and the game is now over. Pretty much 10-12 minutes into it. But on this Lee Sin, he's been part of every single kill. He's been there for counter ganks every single time as well, and actually beating out Svenskeren. Really using the early power from Lee Sin and the Chilling Smite, of course, from his Stalker's Blade.
Yeah, working out in Horo's favor. We do see the Warrior Enchantment picked up for Svenskeren. Forgiven finally completed that Brutalizer. Grabbed himself a pickaxe in addition. going to be working towards that Infinity Edge. Keep in mind, SK got the first Dragon. It was around 4 or so minutes ago, so that should be up in the not too distant future. And we'll see if they're going to get position. Horo has got the scent of Sven. Doesn't have much support. This could go not horribly wrong, but look at the damage onto Sven Skeren. That chilling smite and full burst is very scary.
Yeah, Warrior Enchant has been actually a very good thing for Lee Sin, meaning he just get one damage item in the start from his jungle, or the jungle enchant, and then just go full tank from there. And you can still do, as we just saw here, quite a lot of damage in the early games. Svenskeren, of course, has no tank stats just yet. But SK Gaming, with this early lead they have, normally we would see a team go back and buy like 3 or 4 pink wards very early and just try to completely push the enemy team out of the map and just take full control of everything. SK is not a team doing it. Once again, they have 1 pink ward on the map. The rest, nah, just get items, get items. Don't really need to deny any vision. We just keep playing like we've done beforehand. And that actually meant that MYM could come back through 2 counter ganks now where there was no wards from SK to spot what was actually going on and how many members from MYM was nearby.
So we'll take a look at that mini-map in a moment and see how SK are playing the vision game. Just a couple of defensive wards near the Dragon for SK Gaming. However, Meet Your Makers, we've got a couple of deep wards, both the top and the bottom half of the map. It's not exactly, you know, great coverage, but Dragon is still a minute away. We'll see what they decide to do. SK Gaming still holding to a very small goal lead. And we need to see how well they can coordinate around this Dragon. Forgiven's up top. Nobody else is putting pressure on that Dragon objective just yet.
No, and SK likes to do this. Once they've taken the bottom tower, they send in raided on Lulu with his AD carry to the top side and just start pushing it in. But they will have to go down towards this Dragon here as it is about to spawn. But MYM, because Graves and Lulu was hitting top, is actually able to go in here and place a lot of wards around it. Move your Ahri in there now, wait for someone to face check, land the charm, burst that target down, and take the Dragon. Should be the call for MYM now. Please, I need to get out of this mid lane as soon as it's cleared and get in here, stopping SK from just getting control of themselves.
Sadly, Deficio, I don't think that's going to be the case. It looks like SK have made it into the river.
Well, what's the point then?
Available. We don't know. We'll have to figure it out because MYM are starting to group, but the vision is slowly being cleared out. That looked like Enrated used his lens to clear out near the blue buff. And Dragon Control kind of still with MYM because they have pushed SK behind the mid turrets.
Well, yeah, but at least SK managed to get a few wards in and didn't get punished. Just walking straight down in an area where they couldn't see anything should never go unpunished, especially when you have an Ahri in this mid-game. And it's actually one of the things we see very often here in Europe when people play Ahri. They don't really know how to get the mid-game advantage because they just stay and farm in the mid lane and try and go for this one-on-one kill.
Look at the damage
catching out targets.
Really chunking down Freddy, forcing him away. But now they're out of position. SK are going to get some damage on the mid turret. It looks like these teams are more focused on the Dragon. That was a flash.
Chilling Smite?
Chilling Smite, actually. I lied to you. Got a little too excited.
Don't ever lie to me again.
No, I did. It's my bad. It's my bad. It's the animation. It's just the Smite coming down. But SK posturing, looking potentially for a fight, to react to a fight. MYM, I think have got... Well, both sides have got really good initiation tools.
Well, the thing for MYM is, again, they can run just head first into Cassiopeia ulting, so they have to actually try and get the pick through the charm, or maybe Horror kicking someone back, or flanking around. But they're unable to do it because SK have just been sitting in the mid lane as 5 members. Now, starting the Dragon here again, they can see MYM moving in, making it very hard for them to actually engage.
MYM does not have access to Gnar. Sonic Wave.
Just give it up.
Connect too late, but there goes the Glacial Path. Freddy is initiated. They've locked down Nisbet, and he gets knocked up by Svenskeren. The slam dunk from the Cataclysm locks him out as MYM is zoned away from the rest of the fight. SK get the Dragon, get the kill, and they get out cleanly.
It's too easy for SK here. They can just walk in and do whatever they want. There's no response from MYM. They're not using the wards they have placed, not using the champions they have here. So Dragon for SK, back to defend your mid lane, didn't even lose a tower. All in all, just an easy win for them.
Well, we'll see how they can keep up that control, because truthfully, MYM, they were so close to doing the right thing, but they unfortunately just were unable to take advantage of the wards that they even put down.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how come, because Blizzard was sitting in mid lane where Mr. Rales could just have been standing on the Sivir doing the same kind of wave clear. And then you would have moved your Ahri into this Dragon here. But enough about that one. We have to praise SK Gaming for once again knowing exactly how to play in this mid game. You group up 5 members in mid lane, waiting for an opening to the Dragon, so there's no chance of the other team can flank around you with the Ahri, with the Lee Sin, and actually get a proper engage. And you just wait and wait, and once they make a misstep, walk in, take the dragon, back away. Didn't even lose the mid tower because they pushed away first before they walked in there.
Good decision-making from SK in the second game here of the spring split in 2015. You can see all the itemization across the board. Warmog's obviously first picked up by Na. We're just hearing that Fox was just briefly disconnected from the game, so he's going to do a quick reboot, get himself back into the match. Fox, of course, playing Cassiopeia. Got that Rod of Ages completed from about 11 minutes. Sorcerer Shoes as well. Morella Nomicon plus those Ionian Boots of Lucidity for Freddy, so lots of CDR. And both of these AD carries working towards the eye edge.
Yeah, of course, but just actually a pretty big advantage for Forgiven with the Brutalizer. He picked it up very early. Got the double longsword at least, and then got a BF into the Brutalizer. So he's just been trying to hit as big as a power spark as possible early on. Because he won the laning phase, he got the kill as well, and Raider managed to pick it up together with Forgiven. It's just been all about him and in Raider in terms of like the two dual lanes.
And they're definitely dictating the tempo. Got themselves a 40 CS advantage from all of that aggressive play. It was level 1, level 2 that they were going all in. And, you know, SK, they danced around that previous dragon, but they didn't present a weakness. They didn't present an opportunity for Lee Sin or MYM to jump on. And it's just very, very intelligent decision-making, very intelligent positioning around the river, the dragon, the towers. And SK playing this one quite coordinated. Again,
it's always been the SK thing, knowing how to react to whatever the enemy team is doing, how to punish them when they don't use whatever advantage they would have. And that's what SK is doing so well. And once again, why they can pick up a dragon. They did the same thing yesterday against Rocket. Every time they tried to camp mid lane, well, you would get a tower in the top lane or get some more farm on one of your side lanes, and then you just completely out-rotate them. They don't use, or they don't win through warding, but just by being so smart and so good at timing everything.
Yeah, we'll have to keep track of those ward numbers when we come back next week. But MYM, I do want to touch on. Day and night from yesterday to today. He played the Renekton into Jax. Yesterday did not work out for MYM. Now he's got the Nards, 9 to Lissandra. He's doing okay. You can see his CS numbers there, about 13 behind. But more importantly, it just feels like he's making the right decisions. Yesterday didn't feel like his head was in the right space. And yeah, he seems to be doing a much better job, despite the fact that we haven't seen him get a mega Nard that's been, you know, super impactful.
Well, we haven't actually had a team fight yet, so not really a chance for him to do it. His mega Nard in the top lane, gank from Horror, counter gank from Horror, was very well played. But no,
yeah, that's actually unfair because he roamed middle as well. So,
very true. Yeah. So he's actually been part of a few of the kills, but very different game for him. Yeah. Yesterday on Renekton, he tried to play aggressive into the Jax. He misplayed it quite a bit, actually, fell behind, and then Pepinero came up, killed him. Then Rytel came up and killed him. Frederick came up and killed him. So it wasn't just Whirleap beating him one-on-one. He did misplay it, but he just got camped as well. In this game, it's been one gank in the top side, went in favor of MYM. So he's had an easier or safer game, at least, on this Gnar. And I actually quite like his item build, except for that Hex Drinker. I don't feel like it gives you enough to buy it early, instead of just going full tank and really using that early gold lead you get to just become unkillable in the mid-game. Like we saw Sion yesterday from H2K or on Oduamne. You just couldn't kill him in the mid-game because he was full tank, and then the rest of his carries could kind of catch up. Sadly, though, for H2K, they really managed to finish the game. But
there was no damage to back up all that tankiness. We'll have to see how well SK can continue to play this one. We are hearing that Fox is just having a quick reboot of his PC, so hopefully we can get him up and running and back into the game. Playing the Cassiopeia today, played Cassio yesterday as well, if memory serves correctly. Kassadin.
Almost the same.
Sorry. And then, of course, it was... who was the top lane yesterday? It was Gnar. Freddie was playing Gnar. You were all super excited. So a slight change in even the playstyle here for SK with those sort of double AP champs in both top and middle, which we're seeing a little bit more diversity of in the team comps throughout yesterday and today's games.
Yeah, true. I mean, when it goes to like the big top lane names, if you look at like all the other regions, Lissandra and Gnar has been the two biggest one coming in there. Yesterday, a lot of teams seem to just skip those champions. Actually pick like, again, Renekton in the top lane or Jax in the top lane instead. But now, we have two of them what we consider the strongest, and Freddy also just showing he can play a bit of everything. And Horror, wow,
we're right back, and they're jumping onto Forgiven. Blaz is trying to get the kill credit if he can. Ignite is ticking away. One to attack. Somebody heals, saves him. Blizzard, he gets caught by the minions, and he's forced to flash away. You are not forgiven for that mistake. You will not take it lightly, and Forgiven gets away.
One hit here. Let's just see. I'm just replaying it on my own screen. Horror actually stopped hitting him because he wanted to give the kill to Blizzard, and then Forgiven stays alive, heal, and of course the shield from Enrated. That could have been a very nice kill for them to actually push the mid lane after as well from MYM.
Kill secure would have been nice there, I think. But yes, you can see exactly what was happening. But Forgiven manages to get himself out and keep his life before giving it to MYM. MYM is pushing bottom lane, and SK doing well.
But you also see the lack of damage coming from an Ahri who cannot rush this DFG early on and has to go with Themes because you're losing the laning phase. You're against a double AP, so you go for the safe choice, but you miss out on a lot of damage, a lot of burst potential. One of the reasons Forgiven also stayed alive here. And we can see he's building towards it now, the DFG, but it's coming very, very late for Bleezer.
Yeah, 20 minutes in, only 120 CS on the board. In contrast to Fox's 160, and you see Freddy sniff something is up. Horo and MYM are trying to get themselves in range of Lissandra, but he manages to get away. So this is going to allow MYM to take the second tower of the game
Trading
for their team, but it will be traded, as you mentioned, Fisher.
Yeah, once again, Forgiven, go back to this top lane. Whenever the bottom tower is gone, he will always switch to the opposite lane and start pushing it down. And SK keep pushing in. Freddy's in their own bottom lane to actually wave clear. While Forgiven and Svenskern is staying around and looking at this tower, won't really be able to do too much to it at the moment. And this is where obviously you would place down a few deep wards around the enemy blue buff. But in SK's situation, they don't have a single one.
Well, we'll see how they decide to play this.
And I lie, because Invader was actually there with the side stone. Thank you, Invader.
Well done, well done. We'll see how they decide to play the swap at the moment. We did see Freddy still sticking on the bottom lane, the rest of SK backing away from the top half of the map. A couple of wards down around Meet Your Maker's blue buff, but that's the only real sort of vision on the side of SK Gaming. They still have a nearly 2,000 gold lead. And just again, a slow passive play. By this point yesterday, SK Gaming had absolute control against Rockcat, and they were just taking towers after tower. Nothing could stand in their way. This time around, MYM have put up a slightly stronger defense, and I think they've caught SK off guard, which is leading to this more defensive, almost passive play from SK Gaming.
Yeah, just because MYM was so good at actually setting up these ganks early on and coming back in the game, it's made SK slow down a little bit and realizing we can't just go for every single gank we want to. Once again, though, they are moving in and raided head first as the guy to place down the deep wards. Setting up for Dragon, which won't be up for a few minutes. So actually just trying to contest a bit of vision from MYM and not really looking for too much. Just waiting, and remember you have a Cassiopeia who is going to scale into this late game and become absolutely insane.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday from the Copenhagen Wolves.
100 AP over.
And Soren, being able to tear through H2K's tank line. Fox is already starting to work towards that Rylai's as a second item. SK are going to steal the red buff. I believe they got that blue buff from the last time they invaded as well. So got control of MYM's jungle, denying them resources. And that's quite a big deal on 5.1 because the bonus gold that Svenskern's going to be earning. So he's actually going to be accelerating even further ahead thanks to the new passive.
MYM here actually just been pushing the top lane and trying to farm the jungle whenever he could. Pushing it back in as well, forcing Freddy to recall, but we won't see much action happening before this next dragon spawns. And then SK Gaming should be moving down and once again set up and just wait for MYM to come in and face check unless MYM learned from last time and actually have police sitting ready there trying to burst someone down before SK can establish control.
Well, again this game, MYM have got much better wards. Look at that minimap. There's just blue dots littered across the middle river leading up to SK's jungle. But we need to see if MYM can make use of that vision. That's the real trick. They've got the makings of a very, very tanky Gnar, Warmog's Giant's Belt, and that chain vest already in his pocket. But the question is, do they have the same targeting and sort of decision-making in team fights that we've seen from other teams?
Yeah, and that's
what's going to show.
We have to remember as well, Polisa and Rallis are behind in terms of damage at this point because they haven't completed the DFG just yet, and obviously Mr. Rallis just sitting on an Vintage with the Zeal completed for him. No Phantom Dance or Static Shift yet, depending on what he wants to get. I think he's going to go for Phantom Dance, seeing as he's not buying Abyss Blade as his go-to item before completing Static Shift, just to get that extra gold.
Well, we'll see what decision he does finalize with. Forgiven opted for that Brutalizer early, got himself a Vamp Scepter now. You got to question if the money for Brutalizer had gone into an attack speed item or even that BF sword for maybe a BT. Could have been in a slightly different position.
True.
Because truthfully, that Brutalizer hasn't exactly done work for him. He's still sitting on that single assist from the first blood very early in the game.
The thing is, he had the double longsword from the first back, which made him able to really dominate the lane as well. So in that case, it paid off for him. But look at MYM here, moving straight towards the top lane, knowing they can't fight for the dragon. And because MYM has been pushing the top side, they've warded the entire top jungle here without any response.
In trouble.
Onto Freddy as well.
He gets kicked backwards. There's 4 members of Meet Your Maker setting Freddy to his maker, interrupts the glacial path, they'll get the kill. They should get the top tower, but SK, they seem to be pushing down the middle lane.
Pushing down the mid here, so instant recall from MYM are moving down at least, trying to see if they can force SK away here, but in the end, because mid tower went down, SK Gaming gets out ahead, but I quite like MYM trying at least to get something and trading it from the Dragon here, knowing they can't really go for the fight.
Trying to recall who it was yesterday. It might have been Unlimited saying you can give up 4 dragons as long as you take objectives in reply. As long as you can get a gold lead or stay relevant in gold. It's the 5th dragon that's the really, really impactful one. And MYM doing the best that they can in that scenario. They're still only 1,500 gold down. And they've been that for 20 minutes. So at least they're holding SK at arm's reach. They're not giving them more ground than SK's trying to take.
No, they've been doing a good job, but SK is happy just sitting and farming. That's why they don't force any team fights. That's why they're just waiting for dragons to spawn. They have 3 dragons already to 0 from MYM. So you now have the ticking time bomb. We know MYM within the next 2 dragons has to go for a fight. Otherwise, 5 dragons for SK Gaming, and they're just going to run down and basically destroy you in your own base.
MYM are going to have a difficult time picking that fight. Because SK has not presented an opportunity. And if you go to that second dragon...
They actually did.
But MYM didn't pull the trigger. Yeah.
Exactly. MYM had the chance that put 5-6 wards around the dragon and then just leaves them.
But the irony is, despite the fact SK was in the position, that's more of a misplay for MYM, really, not taking advantage of the vision. Well, where would you put it on? The onus on SK for being there in the first place, or on MYM for not?
I mean, I feel like it's a misplay from MYM. It's good they put up all the wards, but if you don't use them, well, what's the point, really? Because SK just ran in, waited till the wards disappeared, and just took the dragon anyway. So it's just MYM not really knowing how to play with Blazer on this Ahri here. And probably not feeling confident enough, really trying to make some of these plays, because again, you have completely new mid lane, and Nisbet and Horror as well, fairly new members for them. It's not an easy situation when you have barely had any practice, if you even had just 1 scrim with your new guy.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Blizzard's doing the best he can in the scenario, still falling behind in CS, got that DFG completed. Sunfire Cape picked up for MYM, so even more tankiness. You do see the Negatron Cloak and Giant Spell to Horror's pocket. Makings of Randuin's Omen for Svenska, and Hourglass completed for Freddy. So a lot of big item pickups and that Phantom Dancer for Mr. Rolls. So we've seen less Phantom Dancer than I was expecting on 5.1. But of course it is only a very, very small number of games. And MYM, again, they've got vision superiority. They get more wards down in the sort of river to dragon area. However, the Baron is covered from SK. So priorities are quite clear for both of these teams at the moment.
Yeah, and between that Static Shift and Phantom Dance you just mentioned here, one of the reasons is we have seen so many comps go for these mid-game fights, and then if you go back, you save 300 gold by getting Static Shift, and you get that burst, upfront burst coming from it. It's one thing that EU AD carries really like to use to kind of try and win team fights very early on, and rated instant popping his ulti.
So Wild Growth used from Enrated. You can actually see who got the blue buff there. It looked like it went to MYM, yes. So small advantage to MYM. Now they're making use of those wards definitely more than they were previously.
Moving straight for the mid lane. Freddy's sitting there to defend, but this is 4 members from MYM. Should be able to at least get some damage on this tower.
Oh, Flash Charm connects. Freddy's in trouble. Glacial Tomb goes out. He's still got his Hourglass available. Instantly throws it down. Horror forced to use that Dragon's Rage defensively as now Forgiven's joined the fight. Collateral damage goes out, but Svenskeren has been dropped. And Meet Your Makers make the play, finding their 6th kill of the game. But SK defend the tower.
Defending the tower here, but Charm flash in. Freddy then pops his ulti, pops the Hourglass. It takes such a long time to kill that guy. Actually stays alive. Svenskeren once again, the guy who ends up dying every single time SK fights. Svenskeren dies.
So Meet Your Makers showing they've got the ability to make plays. Blizzard again with the Flash Charm. Oh, Nisbet in close. Being a little close to danger there. But yeah, the Flash Charm from Blizzard in comparison to yesterday, this time hitting, finding its target. He's got the burst from that DFG, and he had the support from the rest of his team.
Let's see if it's actually Charm flash from him again. It is not. He just flashes Charms in, and Freddy instantly pops his ulti. Hourglass followed up, and then Svenskeren, because of the ulti from Nisbet, gets knocked away here. Ends up just being all alone and dying, and the rest of SK Gaming not getting time to actually pick up any kills. So a nice little play by MYM. Sadly for them, didn't actually get the tower yet, and they really want to get that global gold.
Yeah, if you're SK, that's not the end of the world, giving up a kill, because they still held the tower. They still hold the dragon. We do see MYM have got decent vision around. 2 pinks, 2 greens, and now SK moving in to try get some control of the area as well.
And Forgiven right here, really skipping the attack speed for him on Graves. He's going for as much damage as possible on his abilities, so he should get a Last Whisper as the next one. Then you have the armor penetration from Brutalizer. You're going to get that Last Whisper as well, making your spells do so much more damage. Because when you are a spellcaster, armor penetration, or like Graves with your Q, with your ulti of course, armor penetration just does more for you, gives you more upfront damage because there's a ratio obviously on your Q, on your ulti, where armor penetration just removes a flat amount of armor and gives you that in bonus damage.
So we'll see if he can get that through the rest of Meteor Makers. There's a lot of armor to burn through on MYM, a lot of hit points to burn through on Horo for the time being. Dragon has respawned, and again, SK Gaming
though
have just got control.
Straight for this Baron.
Can do they have their AD carry? He's late to the party. Mr. Ralls is not around. The rest of SK are healing. Dragon has been secured, but Freddy and Enrated are trying to set up. The charm doesn't connect. Wild Growth goes up. Enrated is the first victim of the fight. MYM is about to go Mega Gnaw. He does crunch down. Look at the Cataclysm in the background. Svenskeren gets booted to safety. Freddy is still alive. He stays alive. They've managed to take down Fox, so that's a 1-for-2 trade. But Dragon was picked up by SK. That was Dragon number 4, and no Baron for MYM.
Yeah, SK just sent 2 guys over to stop the Baron here. MYM backed away from him, but took the fight, getting the mid tower as well here. Still 4 Dragons for SK, so the next one in 6 minutes is going to be so important. They can't be allowed to get it. MYM has to take control of that.
And minions may be able to take that tower down in the bottom lane. There are so many ranged minions.
Oh, Rylus is running.
Hammered down. We'll see how quickly they can melt that tower.
Oh, got it.
That's it. So they trade tower for tower. SK gets the Dragon. They do give up some kills. This is actually promising for MYM. At the very least, they are winning some of their engages. They are initiating relatively well. But they have no room for error now. With 1 Dragon remaining before SK gets all, double all the bonuses, MYM have to fight the next Dragon. They have 5 minutes to figure out how, where, and when.
Yeah, that's not exactly going to be easy for them. I quite like they're trying to trade for the Baron here. See if you could pick it up. But as soon as they saw 2 guys, and Raider was one of them, and Freddy the other one, they just backed away because they took quite a lot of damage from it already here. And it was a bit of a risky one, of course, but I mean, you had to do it. Because again, you're just giving up these Dragons and you need to take something elsewhere for MYM, because time is running out.
MYM have kept themselves relevant in gold. At the very least, they are still so close.
But that's still this patch, though. I mean, the thing is, as long as you're fairly even in terms of kills and towers, you will be even in gold. Because you don't get that global gold from Dragon anymore. And that's why items, again, are fairly even, and also why these team fights can still go in both favor here. It's basically just all about the Baron and the Dragon.
So, Baron, you see the crab picked up by MYM. They're trying to get themselves some vision around Baron. SK Gaming, they've grouped themselves up in the middle lane. MYM will be able to wave clear this bottom one, but SK, they're trying to find an opportunity, trying to find a way in. With 30 minutes into the game, gold is even, towers are even. It's a few kills advantage to MYM. And we've seen that Banshee's Bell picked up by MYM. Now he's got some MR to back up all of that HP. Last Whisper picked up from Mr. Roll. So there's a lot of damage, there's a lot of tankiness on the side of MYM. But yeah. SK, they don't have as much tankiness because they've got additional damage sources. So
crowd control as well. But I really want to see a Locket from MYM against this double AP of SK Gaming, and not being picked up yet. Horo is just building a bit for himself. It looks like he wants to have a Randuin's, he wants to have probably Banshees as well on this Lee Sin here. And I'm actually blind because Nisbet, of course, is building the Locket, so never mind what I just said.
We'll get there eventually. Not completed yet. Not completed.
It will be there soon.
Not too far off. It would be very, very good if it was there before the next Dragon fight. Because that's what this game's going to come down to. At this stage, SK have been 1 step ahead of MYM. It has been fairly even, but SK have just been 1 step ahead. MYM have secured more kills, obviously. However, map control and objective control with those 4 Dragons is lying on the side of SK Gaming. Look at MYM. Really split pushing, going to have the support of his team in a moment. But MYM, they're playing the map, pushing it up and trying to figure out where they're going to fight as well.
Look at the mini-map. You would actually think MYM is so far ahead because of the ward they've placed down. Again, there's 1 pink ward from SK Gaming, 2 wards, 1 at Dragon and 1 near the Baron, and that's about it from them. So MYM again can just run around like they want to, even clearing their single pink ward being placed, which was bought by Enrated. I've been looking at him. Every time he goes back, buys a new pink ward, the rest of his team's like, nah, who needs that anyway?
Yeah, SK are not a team that wards. This is something that's stemmed for a long time. Horo looking for an engage. We do hear on the hunt, Mr. Riles trying to get the support. That's quite a big win for SK, knowing that Siv's ulti is going to be down for at least the next minute and a bit. And that's going to allow the mobility to be reduced. But not the end of the world. Dragon will be up. Siv's ultimate should be up before the Dragon is available.
It will, but some very key items being completed here. Last Whisper for Forgiven. We have Void Staff as well on Cassiopeia. If you can get your Death Cap on Freddy, he gets quite a big spike as well on this Lissandra here. See if you can actually get it.
See what he decides to spend his money on.
No?
He's just picked up a Haunting Light instead. So
this is purely for this next fight. This is just for this next fight. He just had enough gold to buy it, couldn't complete anything else. So just getting Haunting Guys, getting the flat magic penetration here just to be as strong as possible for the Dragon in 1 minute. That's the only reason he buys it at this point.
So 2 pink wards picked up, 1 by Svenskeren and 1 by N-Rated. We've got the Elixir sitting in Fox's back pocket as well. Can't wait to pop that one for the engagement. It is Dragon number 5 on the line for SK Gaming. And Meet Your Makers cannot afford to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Locket of the Iron Solari has been picked up there by Nisbet. So going to have that support. And teleport is available for MYM. So keep this in mind. If a fight breaks out, MYM's going to be a few seconds late to the party.
He should actually run down here because if SK Gaming decides to hard engage with Freddy, MYM won't be able to join in time with the Gnar and his teleport. So I actually do want to see him just start the slow push in top lane and then walk all the way down here to his team so he's part of the fight when the Dragon spawns and not risking having to teleport in. And he's actually moving down now.
And very importantly, Mega Gnar form just reset. And take some time before MYM can build that resource back up and look for the big engage on SK.
Yeah, and MYM has not been able to set up any wards around this Dragon here, so SK are the ones controlling the river, forcing MYM now to just engage head-on, which is exactly what SK Gaming wants them to do.
The assumption is Dragon number 5 equals the game. If SK can secure it, MYM posturing for the team fight for the first time. He has the engage. Horo's gone over the wall. Red team secures it. SK has Dragon number 5. We do see Blizzy instantly blown up. He's dropped down. Cataclysm locks everyone up, but it does not matter. SK are cleaning house. Forgiven's going to get a double kill in just a moment. That's a triple to finish it off. MYM are aced. SK have 5 dragons. They're pushing down the middle lane.
Just a perfect setup here. You're the one starting it. You can see everything happening from MYM, and you get the Dragon just before the fight breaks out, so you get that true damage buff. You get the extra ability and attack damage, of course, so you just destroy MYM and pushing down.
15 seconds on the clock. SK have got 4 members alive. They're tanking the Nexus lasers. They've got minions behind them. Meet Your Makers are going to go 0-2. SK Gaming finish the game decisively. 2-0 in week 1 of the spring split. Congratulations, SK.
And they were just waiting around for that last Dragon. They knew they didn't have to force anything, just wait and wait and wait for Dragons to respawn. MYM never managed to set up any chance for Blizzard to get a pick on this Aura here, so never managed to stop SK Gaming from doing it. And then they get the last one, get number 5, take the fight, win the game, and that's how fast it can go, going in towards this 40-minute point and the 5th Dragon, of course.
Dragon number 5 seals the fate of Meet Your Makers. And again, a different style of play from SK. We saw contrasting composition from yesterday. They didn't have the same level of control, but their decision-making was still equally good. It was defensive, it was reactive at times.
And the dude blind. That's the insane thing. They don't put down any wards. They don't see what any team is moving, except for just around one objective they know they want to take. The Dragon in this example here. So they're able to defend and often out-rotate the enemy team just by looking at minion waves, looking at where they expect them to be, and move around it and constantly pressure multiple lanes, pick up the kills early on as well. Yes, they got punished a little bit by MYM when it comes to like the early ganks. Svenskeren died a few times when he tried to go in, but Horo was there to counter-gank it. But otherwise, I mean, SK are just such a smart team. They can just do so much more if they actually want to buy wards.
Well, we'll have to keep track of those ward numbers as the games continue to get played out. What we'll do is we'll contrast them to the other teams that are playing.
Pink ward bought by Freddy, Svenskeren, and so on. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
I think Svenskeren bought one. I'm going to call you on that
Maybe
one.
one, but that was a misclick. He wanted a green ward.
It was a misclick, according to Defisho. We'll have to get the investigators on Primetime League to look into that one and look at it, because it was the same last year. I distinctly remember going into Gamescom and talking about it. I know it's a you know, a broken record.
It's kind of a bit boring, yeah, but it is the thing about SK.
It is the case.
Everything else is so good. Like, they're doing everything perfectly,
well,
except for that one thing.
We expected SK to do well in the spring split, looking at Fox, looking at Forgiven, and sort of evaluating what they brought to the team in comparison to Chezz's and Candy Panda. And I think they are actually exceeding the expectations. You know, yesterday there was absolute control. Today was defensive. Yes, it was against MYM, who are playing with a substitute, of course. But their team fighting was good. The decision-making was good. Objective control, especially the Dragon, perfect. I mean, it was perfect.
Sure.
5 for 5, and they win the game within a minute of securing the objective. So, well played to SK.
Yeah, again, they control the game. No rush, not taking any chances. Letting MYM just walk around the map a little bit, and then you finish it with the Dragon. So, not a whole lot more to say about the game here. But for MYM, obviously, we have to see if they want to play with Blazer next week, because he is a sub. He's just subbing in for this week here. They didn't have any replacement otherwise for Corey, who decided to leave the team. You kind of have to forget this week, because coming into it, you had zero expectations, because you know we're playing with subs, new lineup, everything. Forget it. Forget the results. Look at the games, of course. What could we have done different?
Yeah.
And then improve on that for next week. But don't even think about you lost 2 games.
So 2-0 for SK Gaming. There are only 18 games in a split per team now. And, of course, they are playing for those championship points. And we'll have to see how MYM bounce back. 0-2 is the old super hot crew. They're playing in a new banner. They need to really dig deep over the weekend and look to next week's games. Look to see how they can come back refreshed. Mr. Rolls in particular needs to find some more synergy with Nisbet. Nisbet's his 4th support in 12 months.
Yeah.
And it does not look like the two of them on the same page. You contrast that to Forgiven and Rated. And the laning phase, it was day and night.
Yeah, very, very big difference for sure. But it is so hard for him, because he is a good AD carry, but you're constantly just switching out these supports and making it impossible for him to actually set up a proper lane.
Well, we'll have to see how he handles himself next week. For now, let's check in with the analyst desk, where Shox is standing by with a member of SK Gaming.